hit the record button. So hello everybody, my name is Rachel Rigoli. I'm an advisor in the study abroad office. We're joined by Ellie, who is our graduate student assistant, who will be helping facilitate as well behind the scenes. And then we have Teresa, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself. She is our presenter this evening.
All right, and so you're going to be flipping slides, right, Rachel?
Yeah, so go ahead and let me know when you want me to move
Ahead,
forward. And I'm
flip
going to go
away.
ahead and mute and turn my, okay.
All right, so hopefully you have already posted in that chat where you're headed. Some folks are sharing their emails because perhaps several of you are on the same trip, and it would be fantastic if you got to know each other before you started off on your adventures. This is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about who we are, where we're going, about doing pre-travel research. It's important to me that we all start off thinking about the cultures that we're going to be visiting, and that we're thinking about how we can be respectful, responsible, and safe as we travel. We're also going to talk about what travel documents to take and how to take them. And I'll give you some examples on why that's so important. And then everybody's favorite, what to pack and how to pack. And of course, that's going to be different for everyone in some ways, and other ways. I want to be able to help you all be prepared no matter where you travel, excuse me, for this experience, but when you travel in the future. So next, please, Rachel. Who am I? Why am I here? I have been leading the World Travel 101 workshops for, kind of want to say 7 years, which is shocking. I have a strong background in travel and tourism. My PhD is in higher education administration, and I spent time as a tourism professor about 13 years. I've lived and traveled many, many places. Yet to get to Korea, I was only in the Korean, I was in the Seoul airport once, and it was phenomenal, but I never got out of the airport. So, and I've traveled a lot with students. So I have many examples and stories in my head of things that I've suggested to students and they haven't taken to heart, and how that turned out. And I have many examples and stories of how things turned out wonderfully when we all prepare properly for our travel. I am just so excited that you get to open your hearts and minds, and you're expanding your education and your world awareness by leaving the United States and studying abroad. Go ahead. Oh wait, Rachel, I should point out my photo, as geeky as I am. I keep pointing that way because that's the screen I'm looking at, so bear with me. The backpack situation going on there is how I travel, and I'm going to show you those packs in a little bit. I am a firm believer in minimalist packing. So any idea you have about, taking your whole fall wardrobe or spring wardrobe, hopefully we will just spell that by the end of the workshop. So go ahead, next slide, please. What I should be doing. So I purposely put these photos up here when we're talking about pre-travel research, because there's a lot of things that I want you to think about, research, and prepare yourself for mentally and physically. The first slide shows a woman in a greeting. She's giving a traditional Western handshake. Some places that you visit will have traditional greetings. Some will have greetings that you're not familiar with. If you're going to France, to Lyon, there might be bisous involved, which is the little kisses on the cheek. But then we have COVID throwing itself into the mix of all the stuff that we're going to talk about today. So normally I would say, if you're going to be in London, you're going to shake hands. If you're going to be in France, you might give a bisou. If you're going to be in Korea, you might greet this way or that way. But take all of it with a grain of salt right now, because we're all learning new normal, right? And you all are amazing ambassadors of culture, going out now and learning how other countries' citizens are managing their health and safety in light of the virus. So it might be people don't handshake in London anymore. It might be that everybody's bowing. I know I do this a lot, so it'll be something to be seen. I have a picture of a pit toilet up there. It doesn't look to me like anyone's going someplace where you're going to be using these, but from me, nothing screams culture and culture shock like the different ways people toilet around the world. There is no right or wrong way to use a toilet because just we're used to Western toilets and it's different everywhere. For those of you going to Japan, I hope that you get to experience the tremendous technology that's used on toilets. And I know I sound so stupid right now, but I'm telling you, there's gadgets and gizmos on some Japanese toilets that are just mind-blowing. You're going to be doing some shopping, so you're going to want to do research on whether the folks in your host country are into bargaining or if there's a certain way that bargaining happens. You're going to be eating out a lot. I hope that each and every one of you gets out of your comfort zone with food. If you're eating McDonald's on a regular basis, because yes, all the places you visit will have McDonald's, then you're not doing it right. I want you to test your taste buds, all right? You see the police officers there, do some research on what police forces are like and what things that you can do or can't do. In some countries, you cannot photograph the police, especially in the airports. So you're going to want to do some pre-travel research on that. I've been to many countries where the police force, especially again in the airports, have large guns that they carry. It's a bit of a shock to first see it, but everyone who lives there is completely used to it. I was with a group of students in Costa Rica, and the students asked if they could actually get on the police officers' motorcycles for photos, and the cops were totally okay with it. And I can't imagine that happening here. So yeah, do your homework, know what the do's and don'ts are. And then another food picture, because I want you to try new foods and be a bit adventurous. Go ahead and switch it. We're going to talk a little bit more about pre-travel research, and we're going to do that through the concept of culture as an iceberg. I have a feeling quite many of you have seen this before in some of the classes that you've taken. And the idea is that only 10% of what we see of an iceberg is what's above the surface. The other 90%, of course, is underwater. The same goes for culture. 10% of what we see when we meet a person is just the little bit of culture we can get from them. It might be the language they're speaking or the food that they're eating or the manner of dress, but the rest is all below the surface. Think about yourself. Think about what people know of you, about you and your cultures when they meet you on the street. They don't know very much, and it comes from getting to know people and having wonderful conversations in order for us to better understand who people are and the differences and similarities among cultures. Actually, go ahead and click it again. I have some animation in this one that hopefully is working. You can see how in this picture there's that dividing line between the above the surface and below the surface. The deeper we get below the surface in terms of culture as an iceberg are the things that are really ingrained in us, the things that we don't even think about. You see thought patterns and perceptions on the bottom of that. Hopefully, with your travels, you'll learn about your own culture too. And when you feel like a fish out of water, when you feel completely unsure of what's happening around you, then you know that you're really truly having a cultural experience. Think about societal rules. Think about traditions that we follow at home. There's so many different things that you're going to find differences and similarities with. And I hope that you take that time to probe the depths of the cultures that you're visiting. And, you know, just like I was saying with Lyon, France, there's more than one culture in the societies that you're visiting, right? So I'm looking at some of the other places you're going. In Japan, you're going to have people from different faith paths. So you're going to have people who are Christian, you're going to have people who are Buddhist. There's going to be lots of different faith paths there that I would encourage you to explore. Learn about their temples, learn about their customs within their faith paths. And I found that I continue to find that, it's a fantastic way of understanding Japanese culture as a norm. Do you have anything to add to this, Rachel? Because you are intensely well-traveled, and I'm curious what you would add to be thinking about as they travel to these new places in terms of culture.
No, I think you did a great job explaining, and I think it's nothing to add.
Okay. Go ahead and let's go to the next slide. So while you're traveling, I ask that you are going to be respectful of the people and places that you visit. You've heard the phrase ugly American, and the reason some people from the United States get a little or a lot upset, snickety, mean when we travel are because of a few reasons. One, you didn't do research. So you want everything to be like it is in the United States. You're all doing a study abroad because you're smarter than that. You know that you're going into a place that's going to be new and exciting and not like home. Again, if it's like home, you're doing it wrong. All right. People get tired. You will get tired. It is exhausting, especially if you don't speak the language. So those of you who are going to Korea, if you aren't versed in Korean, at least, you know, hopefully you'll have some Korean niceties before you go. The pleasantries, hello, thank you, please, where's the toilet, you know, things like that. Those of you going to Scotland and England, you have it a bit easier, but you still have to learn the customs and the norms, all right? You still have to learn whether you tip a waitress. I mean, that's what tipping a server is done in some places, not in another. So even things like that you want to check. But we get tired because it takes so much brain power in order to function well when we're outside of our cultural norms. And you'll get tired too. Don't take that out on the people around you. Find ways to connect with people. I was in, well, it was Lyon, France, actually. I was in Lyon, France. I was with a host family. The host family didn't want an American student. This was in the early 90s. They didn't want an American student there. They specifically asked for no Americans. And here's this California girl. I did not speak French at all. I only spoke German at the time. And it was a mess. It was a hot mess. However, I kept trying and I kept using opportunities to connect with them. And one night I came home and the movie Jaws was on television. Jaws is one of my favorite movies. For those of you who speak French, please forgive my pronunciation, but La Dent de la Mer, La Dent de la Mer, The Teeth of the Sea, is the movie Jaws in French. And they knew the lines in French, I knew the lines in English. We had such a blast watching that movie together. And after that, we were okay. We both tried. We both, the family and myself were able to connect after that because we found a shared interest and we had a good laugh. And sometimes that's what matters the most. All right, so these are two resources you can use, roughguides.com and Cultural Atlas. It's out of Australia, so the Australian English might be a bit different. But ways to research the cultural norms in the places you're visiting. If you are staying with a host family, research whether you give a gift to the people that you're going to be staying with when you arrive, like an SDSU pen or hat or something like that. Go ahead, Rachel. We also want to be responsible travelers. This is on you. This is where your study abroad advisors can give you a ton of information, but it's up to you to be the follow through. It's up to you to make sure that you have looked at what the Department of State facts are about a country. I highly recommend going to this website and reading things like it's, you know, some cultural norms, but other things like scams. I know I took a group of students to France, and we went to the Eiffel Tower, and before we went, I said, all right, here are four scams that you're gonna see here, and I want you to be aware of them and tell me when you see it. And sure enough, they were like, oh, this happened and that happened. And it's just another way to be responsible and listen and learn. If the university isn't automatically enrolling you in the STEP program, you should do it yourself. In fact, I would just go ahead and enroll yourself in it. This is so if there is an emergency while you're abroad. Think the tsunami in Thailand quite some time ago. It was because Americans were enrolled in the STEP program that the government was able to be like, oh, we had a national emergency. Let's know where everyone is. And I should say that I follow the be prepared for anything and nothing will happen rule. I'm a Murphy's Law person, okay? So I'm gonna give you all this information. I do all this stuff. But I've never had anything massively wrong happen. Travel is an adventure, right? The Centers for Disease Control is another excellent site to go to. It will tell you if there's anything that you need to be looking out for in certain parts of the country that you're visiting. All right, go ahead, Rachel. I always want to talk about being safe. Again, Murphy's Law, if you're safe, you'll be fine, right? So you're always going to be thinking about these things, and a lot of them are pretty obvious. The RFID blocking envelopes, you can get those at your local bank. They usually have the little square ones that you can put your credit card in. You can also buy them at Walmart or Target. And here's my plug for Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath, right? That's the name of it. Bed Bath & Beyond has the coolest travel section. You wouldn't think it, but they have all the little, you know, mini carriers for your shampoo, and they have just so many different fun gadgets and travel size antiperspirant, you name it, it's there. So if nothing else, just go to Bed Bath & Beyond and check out their travel section. I have to stay away unless I have a coupon and a budget. So I would recommend getting those. If you're wearing rings, I do leave my good ring at home in a safe, and I put on a travel ring. This gives me the opportunity to buy some fun fake jewelry, and it also means that I won't be at risk of losing my jewelry while I'm abroad. That's the last thing I want to have happen. Always keep your folks at home informed as to where you are. This isn't just for your safety, it's for their peace of mind as well. I was in Uganda, and I was traveling alone, and I was fine, but apparently word broke back here in San Diego that some taxi drivers had been throwing grenades in the capital of Uganda. And my dad heard that on the news and completely freaked out. He was sure I was dead because he's a dad. That's what they do. And I was fine. I didn't even know about it. And I was in the capital. So let your friends and family know back home, even if it's just a quick text that says, I'm not dead. I'm having fun. You know, ate some haggis today. If you have any questions about being safe or culture, can we take a moment let's take a moment and either text it in the chat or unmute and go ahead and ask right now about culture and being safe, responsibleness. You're all highly responsible or you wouldn't be at UCSD. Right. I hear crickets. Ah, who should we contact if we don't feel safe abroad? Thank you, Kimberly. That is a great question. Your Rachel and your study abroad advisors will be giving you, or the person who facilitates your study abroad experience, if it's an outside company, will tell you exactly who to contact for that company. So if it's, I'm trying to think of it, if it's Go Abroad, the tour managers, the study managers that Go Abroad will tell you who to contact. You also have your UC San Diego advisors that you can contact. Absolutely. And
I'll just jump in
yeah,
here. So for everybody studying abroad through UCAP, you'll have an EAP liaison officer. You'll have someone on site. So if you have any concerns when you arrive in country, you can go to them. If for some reason that you don't feel comfortable speaking with them, you can always contact your study abroad advisor back here at UC San Diego. So we're always here for you too, even when you're abroad. And then if anyone's going on an OAP program, I don't know if we have anyone here on an OAP program, but you'll also have in-country staff as well.
and I will say that the folks who put together your programs would not be inviting you to participate in that program in that place if it weren't safe. All right. Um, I don't worry about any of you traveling. I don't worry about any of the programs that you're going on. When I say be responsible and be safe, the times that I worry are when, like it says in the bottom of this one, if you make not so hot choices, like if you decide to go out at night by yourself, or if you drink, or if you do drugs, because then you're putting yourself at risk, right? I was in Bali, Indonesia with a student group, and we had rules and regulations. And the reason you have rules and regulations in all your programs is because we want to keep you safe and healthy and learning. But one young lady decided those rules didn't apply to her and decided to go off on an adventure overnight, and happened to be in an area where I kid you not, a volcano erupted. She was fine, but I did chew her out as soon as I saw her because I was not happy when I found out. So again, it's about being safe and responsible for yourself. Okay, Rachel, jump in if you've got anything to add. All right, so you're all going to quite a few different places. I half the time don't even know what the rules and regulations are here in San Diego for COVID protocol and safety. But here are some websites that you can go to find out things like, do I need to get tested before I travel? And do I need to show proof of vaccination? Do I need to quarantine? Yes. Oh, I thought Rachel was going to jump in. Do you listen to anything your advisors or your OAP folks have to say in terms of COVID-19 information? And when we talk about documents, I'll address this some more, all right? But and I wouldn't just check these websites once. I would check them multiple times between now and when you go, because we are seeing, at least currently, variations in policies. So do stay up to date on that information, as obviously it's changing on a regular basis.
And Teresa, I'm just going to add something. You know, as the name implies, this session, World Travel 101, is about traveling and all of that. And normally in normal times, we'd be talking about weekend trips, and if you have a week off from school and going to a neighboring country, maybe you find a cheap flight to go somewhere. But these aren't normal times, and so really the expectation that we have for you right now is that you'll be staying in country, because rules and regulations are changing at a, you know, can change from one day to another. And so we don't want you traveling on weekends, except if you're traveling within your host country. So that's something we want you to be aware of. If you do plan to travel, even in your host country, we recommend that you check in with your the in-country staff just to find out how things are, or you're keeping up to date on the COVID situation. So that's, you know, like we said, these are not normal times. So this is something you will have to unfortunately deal with while you're abroad in the fall.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, this information, you know, even the packing stuff is to help you now, but even more so in the future. I think that this is a fantastic opportunity, though, to delve deeper into the country that you're visiting. So often we have study abroad students. Say you're in, I saw someone was going to Florence, Italy. They're in Florence and they might do, you know, a couple weekends somewhere else in Italy. And then they might go farther, but they're not truly getting to know the true culture of Italy. So yeah, take this as an amazing opportunity. Go ahead and switch it up. Switch the slide, please. All right, so travel documents. You see a list here of documents that you need to take. I recommend taking the actual document, so your actual passport, your actual insurance ID card, and then photocopying. One copy goes in a bag that you're carrying that's separate from the actual. So if your passport's in, you know, the backpack that's under your seat on the airplane, where it should be, great. Put the paper copy of your passport and your other documents in the bag that you've checked, right? Always keep them separate. Another reason that we do our research ahead of time, some countries require you to carry your passport with you, other countries don't. That's just another thing you're gonna have to do some research on. So you're gonna have your copy, your actual physical document, and then you're gonna have a copy of that document separate from you when you're traveling. Again, Murphy's Law. If you lose one, you have the other, and you have some proof of identification, vaccination, etc. You're also going to take digital copies and send them to some people you care about back home, so that there are, you know, a digital copy in your email system or on your phone, and then a digital copy with somebody else back home in case you need it. The more copies, the better. And here's why it's important, especially now. You're going to be asked, I would imagine, all of you, about proof of vaccination for COVID-19. You want to have multiple copies of that, all right? I have a colleague who just went to Hawaii, didn't even leave the country, he went to Hawaii. There was a rule about COVID testing before he left, so he had to have proof of that. And then there was a rule for proof of vaccination when he arrived, so he was prepared for that. But somehow between getting approved to leave the US and arrive in Hawaii, something got messed up. It's a long story, but something got messed up electronically. So when he got to the hotel, he wasn't able to check in Hawaii. He wasn't able to check in. It took 2 hours with him showing all these copies of his documents in order for it to finally be fixed, because he indeed had done everything that needed to be done because he was diligent in his research. But you have to be ready with all those documents, all right? You are the only one that can advocate for yourself if something gets mixed up, all right? And we do get sick when we're traveling. Oftentimes we eat something we're not familiar with and it upsets our tummies, or we catch a cold. So having your insurance card and knowing what to do about insurance, that's another thing to talk about with your advisor, and being prepared for, all right? Questions about that? I see, and Ellie responded to Kimberly's question about who to contact. UCSD advisors are always here to support you, but on-site program advisors are always a great support resource. Yeah. Ryan's asking, what are the best websites, airlines to purchase the most affordable airplane tickets?
So I'm going to jump in on that one. So we used to do a workshop on how to purchase an airline ticket, and we would go over show Skyscanner, which is a website that we have recommended, and all Kayak, etc. But we are recommending that students buy fully refundable tickets and that you fly directly to your home country, your host country. And so we're no longer dealing with trying to find the best, cheapest ticket that's non-refundable, or maybe you have a stopover somewhere and it gets you to where you need to go, but it's the cheapest ticket you can find. So unfortunately, because of COVID, we're recommending that you buy the refundable ticket, which will cost you more money. And we recommend that you try not to do any stopovers, that you do a direct flight. Skyscanner a lot of times has bargain tickets because they go through third party like consolidators or travel agencies. I would only be buying tickets through the airlines directly right now, and that that you can either change your ticket or you can cancel and get your money back.
Excellent, excellent advice, Rachel. There are so many different COVID rules right now that you could end up in a real mess if you're doing stopovers places. Yeah, that's great advice. It's one of those things where spending a little extra is worth it, because you don't want to have to go through the mess that can come. I have a stopover story, and this would be like worst case scenario during COVID. I was stopping through Saudi Arabia for one flight, and people on the plane had given me advice, because again, I was a solo traveler, on how to deal with the security in Saudi Arabian airport, and like no direct eye contact, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm not worried. And I remember going to the gate that was supposed to be my departure gate, and something was wrong with the ticket or the gate. I still don't know. I didn't speak any of the languages that were being spoken. And I ended up on a golf cart driving on the tarmac with a couple of armed people. And I got on a plane and it got me home. But that was bad enough. I mean, add COVID to that. I totally agree with going direct right now. Yeah, and the airlines are being really cool about talking to you about what's refundable and how everything works. So you can, if you don't get an answer you want when you call an airline, you can always hang up and call back and talk to a different person, and you can always ask for a manager. Okay. Ellie and Rachel, anything else we should discuss in travel documents?
No, I think you've got it all. Yeah.
Cool beans. Let's go on to the next slide then. I think we're getting to the fun stuff now. Packing. Ellie, do you travel with a travel pack or a suitcase? I mean, let's assume that most folks are going for at least, what, 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 months. I usually just bring maybe like a carry-on and like a traveler backpack. But as you mentioned, less is better, and you will probably always get some things there as well that you'll want to bring home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you heard it from Ellie. Less is more, and she normally travels with 2 different kinds of backpacks. I have full faith that all of you could travel without a ton of luggage. You are going to find that the wardrobe that you wear, either in San Diego or in your home city, is not the typical wardrobe that's worn by people who live in the country that you're visiting. My goal when I travel is always to blend in as much as possible. So I even go to the web and I look up photos of, I'm going back to some of the places that you're visiting, Bologna, Italy, the Czech Republic, Scotland. I'm looking at pictures of crowds in those places, or maybe not crowds these days, but I'm looking at pictures because I want to see what the people are wearing. Some countries like France, in the winter months, they wear this brown to black hue, black or brown, gray and black, and it's all just that same hue. So you will most likely find yourself doing some shopping where you're going so that you fit in nicely with the folks that you're staying with. The other issue with suitcases I found is that one, they're super heavy, and places that we travel to don't have the Americans with Disabilities Act. They don't have elevators. These places were built in the 1600s, some of them. So you don't want to be lugging your suitcase up flights of stairs. Roller suitcases are fantastic unless you're on cobblestone streets or in the snow, and then they're like the worst things ever. I've been in both of those situations. So yeah, let me show you my travel pack. This is my travel pack. It is what was in that first picture. This is an Amazon travel backpack, Amazon Basics travel backpack. It has expandability, so I can make it as small or as large as I want. It has so many pockets. It's mind-blowing. I lose stuff in this. And then it can be carried as a backpack. Right now, the straps are tucked in. So my straps are in here. So it can be carried as a backpack. It can also be carried with my handle here. This one is what goes on my back. And it is incredibly affordable and in different colors through Amazon.com. And no, I'm not getting any money from Amazon. It also, I'm able to cinch it down. So it's so easy to travel with. And then I wear a pack on my front. This is a High Sierra backpack. I have it in multiple colors. And look at this expanse. Look at how much that expands. I took this camping on Catalina Island, and I had a fleece blanket that I thought I'd forgot to pack, but it was in the bottom of this backpack. And I mean, I just lost it. There's so much room in here. I also tend to travel with this. This is a pop-up bag. So it's nice and tiny. And I put it in my luggage just like this. And then when I go shopping abroad, I stuff it full and then I check it when I come home, when I'm headed home. I just check it. It's like having an extra suitcase. So that's how I travel. Rachel and Ellie, what are your takes? What are your preferred pack or suitcase when you travel?
So in my younger days, I always used the travel backpack because I wanted my hands free. So I had a day pack in the front and then the travel backpack in the back. I've switched to, looking in your picture, the blue sort of duffel bag with wheels. Mm-hmm. And I do know they make some that actually have straps as well, so you can wheel it or you can actually put it on your back. Mm-hmm. I was going to suggest if you have an REI near you, they're not cheap, but if you just want to sort of see what the gear that's out there for travel bags, go to an REI and tell one of the employees that you're going to be studying abroad and have them sort of show you around of what the options are. You don't want something that's top loading where everything gets stuffed in through the top. You want something that opens up where you can get to what you need. And a lot of them now have a day pack that zips onto the exterior, so you can unzip it and then use your day pack. So it's really what you're comfortable with, but REI is a great place to just sort of look around, get a feel for what is out there, and then you can always shop online. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to buy it at REI, you can look around. I did also want to mention, normally when we have this session in person, we have a handout that I give that's travel resources with stores. So what I'll do is with the registration, I'll go ahead and email that document to everybody. It's a PDF file. I'll do that after the session.
That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, I second that, going to REI and trying different things on. People had recommended to me Osprey bags, and there are Ospreys that are just for women. And I found that they pinched me right here. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't been able to try on. And it is a fantastic idea to go look at the brand name ones, and then do an online search and see if you can get it for less somewhere else. And if you start ahead of time, of course, with Amazon, you can easily return things as well. And these Amazon brand bags, there's all different sizes, all different kinds. So again, that would be something. Oh yeah, Ellie, e-bags, fantastic. Yeah, there's some e-bag stuff around here. Oh, this is an e-bag brand. I might as well talk about it while we're still on the slide. You'll see a lot of things online, and you'll see them if you do the Bed Bath & Beyond travel section. These are just ways to organize everything in your suitcase. I love having an organized suitcase. I love having like my underwear separate from my shirts, separate from my skirts. But these are expensive. This is money. So something to consider is reusing bags that your family members might have, or to start saving them now. This is what a set of pillowcases came in. I use bags that sheets come in. I use gallon-sized Ziploc bags to organize things because it's clear. I can see exactly what's in it. I also use these in the bag that I'm taking on the airplane with me, so that I can get to things easier and I can find things, especially if I'm on a dark airplane. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. And being conscious of time. So again, I think all three of us agree, when in doubt, leave it out. Put out everything that you're going to be taking and decide if it really, really is necessary. Every place that you all are traveling, based on what you put in that chat, every place you're traveling will have its own version of the dollar store and Walmart. All right, it may not be called Walmart, but they will have one. So you can go to those places and get the towel if you forget, or you can get your shampoo. In fact, I encourage you, maybe take a little bottle of shampoo and conditioner if you use that, but when you get where you're going, just buy the big one and use that while you're there. You're going to save room in your suitcase. You're going to lessen the risk of it spilling over everything. And ultimately, it's part of the experience. The French version of Walmart is amazing. I wish I could remember what it's called. And you'll see in this photo that everything is rolled. Rolling your clothes gives you, it's like some magic trick. Some of you may be physics majors, you can explain it to me. But rolling your clothes gives you more room and less wrinkles. Yeah? All right, let's go to the next slide.
Okay, I'm gonna add something here.
Yeah.
For packing tip. Don't pack the morning of or the night before and you're leaving on your trip, early in the morning. Actually start packing a couple days ahead of time. And the reason being is when you pack in a hurry, you overpack. You are in a hurry, you're throwing things in, you can't think about it, and you're just rushed. So start putting things out, sort of like this picture you have here, and stack things up, all your t-shirts in one stack, all your pants in one stack, all your electronics, and then go back and look at it again. And you might see, wow, I have 3 black t-shirts. Do I really need 3 black t-shirts? I think I only need 1. 2 are going to get, thrown aside. So that is my packing tip to you is don't wait until the last minute.
I wholeheartedly agree. I do also suggest that the clothes that you take all be mix and match. Nobody is going to care if you wear the same pants 3 days in a row, as long as they're not stunchy. Wear mix and match clothes, because then you have more outfits that, you just move things around a little bit and it all goes together. All right. And try and take things that don't need to be ironed. Here are some tips on things to take with you, and I have my own little item sitting next to me that I'm going to show you. I always carry something to put my money and my ID in. If I are in my pockets, there's a risk of it falling out or some other reason that I might lose them. You'll see a lot of these advertised. This is a pouch that goes under the shirt and around the neck. I do not like these because any thief worth their salt sees straps like this and they know you have a money holder under your shirt. So I don't use that. I actually use, I'm gonna hold it still so it shows. This is a money pouch and this clips right onto my waist. If I have a belt or the waist of my skirt, it clips right on there. All right. I have, I hope Rachel doesn't mind me saying this. I have been mugged and I didn't lose anything because it was all in my travel pouch. And these are harder to find now. You can look at REI and you can also go on Amazon and try and find them. Other things, you're gonna want a good travel lock. You want one that has that red diamondy shape. That is a TSA approved travel lock. That means that if the Transportation Safety Authority in the US needs to open my luggage, they have a special key that they put in the bottom. They don't have to cut it out, okay? And you want to remember what that code is. I don't know what the code to this one is, and so it's useless, which is why it's in my demo bag. I always travel with a notebook, and in that notebook, I put things like if I had something to eat and I want to remind myself what that was on the menu, and I want to look up later what it was I actually ate, please try that. I put it in here. I put the address of where I'm staying in here. So if I need to show a driver where I'm going and I don't pronounce it right, they'll still be able to know. When I'm shopping, I write notes for the vendor. I am not very good at knowing my numbers in French, but I can certainly write them down and I'm understood, right? So I love taking notebooks. I always take dental floss, doesn't matter what brand, because dental floss is great for not only flossing, but it fixes my shoe if my ties break. It fixes my backpack if the zipper breaks. I can use it to slice soft cheeses. I can use it to be a drying line for my wet clothes in my room. I can use it to pull my hair back. There's a million things that, it's like the duct tape of travel right here. I always pack some sort of protein snack in my day pack when I'm traveling, as well as in my bag on the airplane in case I need protein, especially if you're diabetic or anything else. You want to have something that will help your sugar levels and help you not be so hungry you can't function. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I don't think any of you will need this. I take Vicks Vapor Rub with me because I am sensitive to smells, and in some places that I travel, it's pretty stunchy, but I don't think any of you will have that problem. It is great on the airplane bathroom though, if you know what I mean. And then of course I'm taking my PPE. I've got my gloves and my antibacterial wipes and my mask. That's all going to be on me at all times. I don't know if the restaurant I'm going to is going to require masks. I don't know who sat at that table before me, so I am always going to be prepared. Yeah. What else, Rachel? What else, Ellie? I could do this forever.
I was gonna say the comfortable walking shoes, in my opinion, are key because it can be hard to find, you know, good shoes that fit you well that are already broken in. So if you're gonna throw something out of your backpack because it's too full, or your suitcase, get rid of some clothes because you can easily pick up, you know, souvenir t-shirts, or what, you know, a winter jacket or whatever you need. But shoes to me are always super important.
It took me 3 tries to find the right shoes to wear in Japan because I knew I was going to be walking a lot.
And then I would say the other thing that I always pack with me is at least, a couple weeks supply of any medicine I might, not medicine like, but over the counter. Like
Go to the next
if I
slide.
like,
That's a
oh,
little
okay, let's
clearer.
go forward.
Yeah, you're going to have pharmacies no matter where you are, but these are some things to definitely consider packing.
And it's nice to just have some on hand because you may not know the local brand yet. So if you just have enough until you figure things out.
And you don't know what you're going to be allergic to in Scotland because you haven't been before.
And then just going back, I know you talked about the voltage in different countries. So those of you going to Europe or anywhere where it's 220 volts, if you don't take a hair dryer, don't take a flat iron or an electric shaver, you're going to buy it there.
Yeah, there are currency devices, but they are never going to handle your blow dryer, your straightener, your shaver. They're not. I've never seen it work.
Yeah, so you'll just pick up a cheapie, for your semester, and that's what you'll use if you need it. Did you mention plug adapters, or is that coming up?
No, we only have like 5 minutes left. How'd that happen? Yeah,
go back here.
You're going to want to take your plug adapters. You're going to need to do your research and find out what kind of adapters your country uses. The one I'm holding up right now is used in Great Britain, Ireland, parts of Africa, Hong Kong, and Singapore. But you're not going to know that off the top of your head. And your things, except for unless you use a Mac, aren't going to work without adapters.
And those are easy to get on Amazon.
I think we need to have you ask questions now.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention that we are having other sessions. You all should have received the email with the invites or the links to register. We've already done the How to Handle Money Abroad, and that is posted to our website, the studyabroad.ucsd.edu website under pre-departure resources. And then Ellie is going to be leading a session on Wednesday on how to make your smartphone smarter while you're abroad. And then she's also doing a session on how to be a sustainable traveler. So I hope you'll be able to attend those. If you're not available for those sessions, they will be recorded, just like this session is being recorded. So you can always check our website under pre-departure resources, and we'll be adding them as we go.
Those are so important. If you could put up the last slide, it's got my contact information. Y'all feel free to email me with scenarios. Feel free to email me with, your what ifs, or should I take, or what do you think of? And I'll give you my honest opinion. This is such a fun, exciting time for you because the world is opening and you get to go out there and experience it, and you're going to meet people your age doing the same thing you are, and oh my gosh, the perspectives that you're going to learn. It's just, I'm so happy for y'all.
Why don't we take questions, and instead of doing a chat, if we can just, it's a small group, if you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself. If you don't feel comfortable, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, but I think it's easy enough to unmute and ask it so everybody can hear it, if that works.
Chris is asking, would you recommend we buy most of our clothes at the country? I like your example, winter clothes in Lund, Sweden. Not a bad idea, but I don't want you to go there not prepared. For instance, I went to Mexico City and I didn't have time to even do a money exchange for like 3 days. So I wouldn't buy most of your clothes there. I'd only buy some.
But one thing I would say is it's hard to find good winter clothes in Southern California, whereas in Loon, Sweden, he's going to find everything he needs. So that's I don't know. I would probably say wait on that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then someone did ask about where to find these sessions. And I am going to put in the link, the pre-departure resources page. So let me just do that.
Chris, about your hooded parka, I would, couple thoughts. Yeah, look at pictures of what people are wearing. You can send me that question at email and I can check with a friend in Sweden too. It just reminded me, I had a student, I said, don't wear bright colors to France. He wore a red parka and he had to go buy one when he got there because like nobody else in the city was wearing red. Yeah, just the idea is to blend in. So yeah, Rachel's right. Take some cold weather stuff, but you'll probably end up getting a lot of it there and maybe even cheaper. I'm gonna drop my email again. If I don't answer you right away, it's not because I'm ignoring you. I have a few days a week where it's hard for me to get to my email, but there it is. Other people on unmute, ask questions.
Just know that you can get shampoo abroad, you can get clothing abroad. You don't have to take a 4-month supply of shampoo. So that's the one thing students often are worried about is, will they be able to find what they need abroad? And yeah, you should be able to. And just like Chris, you asking about winter clothing, I can't imagine trying to find winter clothing right now in San Diego in July. So anything else? Oh, question about bedding, pillows, blankets, can't pack these things. So I would check with your housing where you're going to be living, because some of the housing will provide bedding and towels for you, and sometimes they have the option to rent the linens and towels. So I would check with your look at the pre-departure mission for your host country and the program that you're going on to see what it says for that. Oh, and someone asked about thrift stores in Bologna.
That's an interesting.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think Google's going to be your friend on this. And my daughter's going to Bologna in the fall. So for the student who asked that, you're going to be with her. And she's into thrifting. I don't know if she's looked into this, but you do have a wonderful study center staff in Bologna. So you could certainly reach out to them and ask them about that.
And Azrael, that's the first time anyone's ever asked that question on one of my sessions. So thank you for asking that. And Andrew, you can ship back souvenirs. You just need to look at what the cost is. Sometimes that's better. It's like snow globes, you can't travel with anymore, at least unless you're checking your bag. So don't buy a snow globe.
Yeah, and that one thing that I do a lot is, instead of packing a lot of t-shirts, I buy souvenir t-shirts for myself abroad. I mean, obviously you want to bring souvenirs for your friends and family, but maybe you find small things and to bring home, like keychains and I don't know, little doodads.
Oh yeah, definitely take a small first aid kit. I have one of mine here somewhere. It's stuff that you should already have in your medicine cabinet already. I keep Band-Aids with me every time I leave the house because you never know. And that's when you can have Benadryl or loratadine for diarrhea or something like that put in there too. I wouldn't take any self-defense objects. No, you'll probably lose those through customs. Even if it's in a checked
Yeah.
bag, you probably lose those. And it might be illegal in some countries. Yeah, I
So
would
the
buy my
toilet,
shower towels there.
yeah, I would just, yeah, you don't want to pack a towel that's going to take up a lot of space.
I often travel with a sarong, and I'd use it as a towel sometimes. So
The other thing too, and I mean, I haven't traveled in so long, so now I'm forgetting, but you know how a lot of people travel with the portable charger or batteries? Um, those I believe have to, do they go in your carry-on? They can't be in your check bag. There's a rule on that. Do you remember, Ellie?
I usually have that with me on the plane, so
it's the
Yeah,
lithium ion batteries that can't be checked.
it must
yeah.
be.
I mean,
Okay.
in your suitcase. I would buy, it depends on where you're going, Andrew, in regards to the sunscreen. I take my own sunscreen if it's someplace where the sunscreen is marked up, like Costa Rica. If you're going to a place where, you know, it isn't a tourist thing, every tourist is trying to buy sunscreen, then just buy it there.
And I feel like sunscreen is another, I mean, yeah, so if you're going to a resort town, they're going to charge you a lot. But if you're going to be studying abroad and you're there for 3 to 4 months, I would say buy it there.
And you can share stuff too with the other students that you're staying with.
Yeah, I was telling my daughter who is, you know, already thinking about what she's going to pack. And I said, look, when I studied abroad for a year, I took one suitcase and I borrowed clothes from friends. They, you know, there were a couple formal dances and I didn't have a formal dress. So I borrowed from friends and you sort of just help each other out.
Exactly. Memories.
And like I said, I'll go ahead and send that travel resources handout to you via email. So there's a lot of useful information on there. And it also includes a packing list. Oh, there's a question about scientific calculator or laptops. I absolutely would take your laptop. That's going to be really important as a student. So take your laptop, and you can certainly buy notebooks and calendars and things like that while you're there. Scientific calendar, if you're a STEM major and you're going to be using it all the time, I'd say I would probably pack it. So that's a great question.
Yeah, it's another one I've not had before.
And just so you know, laptops, they're dual voltage, so they will work with 110 or 220 voltage. So you don't have to worry about a converter for like your phone or your laptop, but you do need a plug adapter. So that's something to make sure you research that to see what the plugs are like. And then they even make these plug adapters now, Teresa and Ellie, I don't know if you've seen them, where you can plug in multiple things. So it's got, plug it into the outlet, and then there's like 3 spots to plug things in.
That's a great way to make friends in an airport too. Pull that out. Anybody want to share?
Yeah. Okay, well, any other questions before we say goodbye?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question is sort of specific, but for my program and when I'm studying, some of my courses require me to make art projects, and a lot of the stuff that I do to make that with here, I have like a lot of equipment that I use often, and I was just kind of wondering, like, granted, those are kind of big, bulky objects, and then trying to pack less, I'm wondering kind of how or if I should even consider bringing any of my usual equipment.
So what, Eden, can you explain what kind of equipment is it like electrical tools or?
Yeah, no, it's like cameras and like audio recording equipment and stuff like that.
Is there, so you know what I would probably recommend is that, which country are you going to and which program?
Czech Republic, Central European Studies through CIEE.
Yeah.
We had,
You're
sorry,
you're going to be doing film, right, on that program?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would probably email Sarah, your advisor. I'm assuming you've met with her before, but I would have her ask her about this, and she can certainly reach out to CIEE or EAP to find out if they have the equipment for you on site.
Okay, yeah. I think I had a meeting, pre-departure orientation earlier this morning, and I asked a similar question, and the answer was kind of gravitating towards no, like uncertainty/no. So I'm not positive that I'll have things there, but yeah, I was just okay.
So who led the webinar? Was it CIEE or was it
Yeah, it
EAP?
was the CIEE.
Okay. And I guess if you're not feeling confident that they'll have, equipment for you to borrow, I would probably say check a second bag and take it with you. You're going to have to deal with having two bags, and maybe the way to handle it is you have a rolling suitcase and then you're wearing a backpack for your second, um, you know, check bag so that you can manage your own luggage, because that's going to be really key. Um, but you're sort of a special circumstance, and if it's something that you need to be able to do your schoolwork and part of the program, then I would say you would want it with you.
Also, if you have a travel vlogger or blogger that you follow, it would be interesting to check with them and see how they recommend keeping those things packed and traveled safely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we say travel lightly, and it doesn't mean that you can't take two check bags by any means. I mean, what we're really concerned about is students, checking three bags. They arrive and they expect the porter to show up and carry their bags for them, and that's not going to happen. You're going to be in charge of your own gear, and you're going to have to get it from point A to point B. So if you can figure out a system where you have a suitcase and you can then put the second bag either on the suitcase and strap it or wear it on your backpack, by all means, you can take two bags. It's just, we don't want you to show up and you have a 100-pound bag that in your, 5 foot, 90 pounds, and you can't even lift the bag yourself, because there won't be anyone to help you with the baggage. So hopefully that helps. Is there a group or social media where I can connect with people who are in the same program as mine? So yes, absolutely. I would recommend, Andrew, that you reach out to your EAP advisor and tell them that you would like to get in touch with the other students going on your program, and they can forward that on to EAP. If you contact your study abroad advisor at UCSP, they can forward on to your EAP advisor, or you can email your EAP advisor directly and they can forward it on. Some programs already have Facebook groups going, so it really does vary program to program, but you absolutely can connect before you leave. It's just usually what happens is EAP won't release the information to you. They have to forward on an email that you sent to them, and then you can put in your email, like, please reach out to me through Instagram or Discord or whatever, Facebook, if you create a group, and you can all connect together that way. Anything else?
Have fun, folks.
Stay safe. We're here for you. And the Study Abroad office is open all summer long. So if you have last minute questions, feel free to connect with us. But safe travels, and thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the evening. Good night, everybody.
Bye, Ellie.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.